shots ring from the woods. Take on 45.
Yes, Hickok 45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you on a fairly brisk day, but enjoying a couple of firearms. Yes, Tennessee, from Tennessee, the home of Alvin York, Dolly Parton, and all kinds of people around here, right? Lots of people we don't even know. And there's John calling. You think I should answer it? I better wait. I'll tell you what, I'll cut and I'll come back to you. How's that? Yes, I'm back. Yes, that was John. Okay, he's on the way out. We're going to do some shooting, maybe a video, right, even though it's a little chilly. I'm wearing my glove. Got some new gloves. They're actually liners, I think. And wow, they fit like a glove. Double extra large. Can't always find that. So I may have to cut this a couple of times. I'm expecting a delivery that I have to sign for. So if I see FedEx guy, I'll have to shut you all away again and then hustle over there in the four-wheeler and then hustle back, so you won't have to wait too long, okay? Oh no, wait a minute. If I turn it off, you won't know how long it is, will you? Okay, so anyway, chilly, but you know, pretty good day this week. Needed to shoot a couple of things. That's the Equalizer you saw me trying out, okay? Been trying it out, shooting it some. So I want to shoot a little more before we do video with it. And I also have another rifle here, the Ruger SFAR, been shooting. I'll take a couple of shots with it. So, you know, one of those deals, probably 3/4 of the time when I come out and shoot, I'm just shooting bolt gun or some revolver or just anything I want to shoot. I've chosen, and I could do that today as well. But I had these guns, I want to try them out a little bit more, and kind of interesting, so that's what I do, right? Just play with firearms, and new ones, old ones, you know, whatever. So, the Equalizer, you may be familiar with it, you might not, Smith & Wesson. So, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We're in December now. It'll be Santa time soon, right? But anyway, and don't forget John's comedy schedule. He'll be at Zany's on both the 13th of December and the 18th of December. I'll be there on the 18th. Got tickets to go on the 18th. And he'll be in Huntsville 15th through the 17th of December. So check him out. Pretty funny guy, really funny guy. Somebody put another mag in this thing. Can I shoot it? Comes with a 10-round magazine, makes it flush. Yeah, and then what I just put in, the 13 round, it comes with a 13 rounder and a 15 rounder as well. Okay. I got a new jacket. It's a Duluth, and it's got a hood on it, and it really makes a difference. I've noticed. I've been around working on the range and doing different things today. I put that hood up, especially this morning. It was pretty chilly. Makes a difference. All right. What should we shoot? How about a 2-liter? Cowboy. How about that bowling pin? I don't know if I ever hit the gong. I couldn't really hear. No. Can't tell. Can't tell I'm going high or low. I noticed the gong over there. I got to work on it. You may have heard it, and I didn't. it swings around and the edge of it's against the board quite often. Every time I go over there, actually, I have to kind of pull around. It's a little precarious. It's not, hanging targets is an art, you know, I've kind of perfected, but then you get into a situation sometimes where you want to hang it lower than the plant hanger or whatever allows you to, and you have to jury rig it a little bit, do some different things. But and so when it's against, here's another news flash, physics about physics. If you have a gong or steel target, whatever it is, hanging loose, rings, you can tell when you hit it, right? If it's against something, like if one of these were against that tree, like resting against it, now you may still hear the steel clank, but you don't get the ring, you know, so it's hard to hear farther away. But I don't think I don't think I was hitting it. Maybe I shoot without my ears on, I could tell. Yeah, how's that? Could do that. Oh man, so hope you had a great week, and hope you're enjoying the winter. Hope you oh man, I tell you, you know, I mean, I should be arrested. I have 2 semi-automatics out here. Of course, you heard our president last week, whatever. The idea we still allow semi-automatic weapons to be purchased is sick. So I'm sick. Okay, just make sure y'all knew that. I'm sick, which is it reminds me, you know, the same old line. People, you'll see it, don't you? And you hear it all the time from somebody who, they don't keep up with the firearms news, or they're very anti-gun. They're so far left, they don't, you know, so they're just saying it, you know, and they know it's not true, but they're just saying it, whatever. But they're not coming for your guns. You're not coming for your guns. You're reactionary. You're paranoid. They're not coming after your guns. They've made it so clear, and you know who they is, it's various politicians and people. They said it very, very, very clearly many, many times, especially in the last few years, and even before that. They are coming after our guns. They don't want us to have them. They don't want us to have any, really. A lot of the politicians don't, and especially anything semi-automatic or holds more than 3 rounds. And it's very, very clear, and they think we're sick and all that kind of thing. So anyway, it's funny, people, when they say that. It's humor. It's getting humorous. They're not coming for your guns. They don't want your guns. And they'll list a certain politician or governor or president. They didn't get your gun. They didn't get your guns, did they? You still have the... Well, yeah, we do, thanks to about 10 different gun rights organizations and everybody voting at least well enough and working like crazy to maintain the rights we shouldn't have to work to maintain, you know, yeah, with a Herculean effort to hold off some of that. Yeah, we kept most of it, right? That's the only way. They're not they don't want your guns. Wow, what cave would you have to live in to really think that? But I don't think many people are that dumb. You know, speaking of totalitarianism, what about China? Isn't it crazy what's going on over there? It's just amazing. You know, how much some of the folks over there have in common with some of the folks over here in terms of want to be tyrants and controlling people. You really can see the parallels, can't you? It's becoming more and more clear. Tyranny is tyranny wherever it is. Hey, let me shoot this rifle. Okay, this is the SFAR, or I don't know, SFAR, and you know what? Now I forgot what that stands for. Let's see, it's SFAR. Yeah, it's short. Short. Automatic rifle. Short. What was that? Short frame, I think. Do I have that with me? I think I do. Oh yeah, I do have that with me. It was. Did I write that down? It's funny because yeah, it was, no, small frame, yeah. Small frame auto-loading rifle. Small frame auto-loading rifle is what that stood for. Okay, I've forgotten yet. But it's SFAR is the model. And it's 308, you know, and the claim to fame is it's kind of an AR-15 size instead of a big, heavy, chunky AR-10. you aren't familiar with it. And y'all have requested, that's why I have it. Got this from Buds too on loan. And you know, it's got the 308 mag in it, see, with 308 rounds in it. Really, 7.62 by 51. And I put a red dot on it, but it, let's see, it didn't come with sights. And I think it's 7.2 pounds. So it's in the AR-15 category. It feels kind of heavy, but I don't know. It's got a 20-inch barrel, I think is the reason. So it's not a lightweight firearm, but it is in that weight class of an AR-15 and in 308. Okay, that's the claim to fame. And we've been shooting it some, and it seems to do fine. Take a shot and see. I'll get you, Mr. Gong, with this thing. Yeah, that hit you, by golly. About a red plate, maybe. Oh, knocked it off. Oh, man. You can tell it's really hard. It is a 308. Let's hit hard on one of these 2-liters here, that green one. How about that red bowling pin down there? Yeah. All right. Oh, man. Knocks the heck out of that. So that, I don't know if that's anything that might interest you, getting a 308 7.62 by 51 in a smaller, well, I don't know, lighter at least configuration. I think I've mentioned many times, I'm not a big fan of the AR-10. Never have since the first time I picked one up. It just seemed odd. It was so, I've talked about this, I guess, before, even recently somewhere. It just seems odd to pick up an AR-15, which we're accustomed to being lightweight, you know, handy. That's the big advantage of it. Aluminum gun, much of it aluminum and everything. But you pick up that same looking firearm and it's, oh, wow, what a chunk. And I don't know, it doesn't compute or something. You expect that with an M14 or, you know, a BAR or some bigger gun that fires that cartridge, but not so much the, are you recording me? Yeah, but not so much an AR-15, I don't know. And that's kind of my philosophy on the 308. You know, I just soon have if I'm going to have a 308 rifle, because that's nothing I'm going to pick up to go to war with probably, you know, hopefully nothing. But it's an interesting gun to shoot, you know, powerful rifle, you know, kind of thing. I do soon have it in a classic firearm like an M14, which I do. So, but this is a nice gun. If you want something a little stouter and in the same size format, you know, there you go. It's got a muzzle brake on it, which is pretty loud. It comes with that. And you'll see it in the video, but we haven't had any trouble with it, except before the video I did, and that was me, because we've shot it maybe 120 times, and so this morning I knew I was going to plink with it some more here, and so I said, let me take the bolt out and make sure it's lubed and everything, but I took it out. I wasn't necessarily going to take it apart and clean it, the bolt. I just want to make sure it was, yeah, okay, and lube it. Hadn't had it out yet. Boy, was it dirty and full of it was really dirty. It was like an AR-15 5.56 that had been fired 1,000 times, almost seemed to me. It was just locked up almost. I was surprised we didn't have trouble with it. And I had to soak it in ballistol. I just soaked the whole bolt before I even took it apart to try to get it loose and apart, and the firing pin out and everything. It was really, really gummed up, but it was working fine. And so I cleaned it, put it back together, and came over here, you know, was ready. I said, well, make sure that, because the sight loosened up on us yesterday, and I tightened it after we finished, but I want to make sure it hadn't gotten off, you know, so I wouldn't have an excuse for missing everything today, you know, sight, make sure it was still zeroed. It was just on the mount. It wasn't like the sight. It was just on the picking rail. It loosened a little bit, but didn't move it or anything, I don't think. So I tightened that up, and so I took a shot or two, tried to, and all I got was a click. Another round in, click. Another round, Looked at the primers. There were no like dents. You know, I thought, well, something up here, dirty chamber or something. And no, 4 or 5 times. So guess what it was? When I put the firing pin back in, it's a little different firing pin. It seems a little bit longer. It's got a couple of different ridges, or an extra ridge a standard firing pin doesn't have, I think. But anyway, I got the little cotter pin in there, which I had trouble getting back in. Do you ever wrestle with those things? Have trouble getting them back in? But in all my wrestling with it, the firing pin had backed out a little bit, and so it wasn't in the proper groove. It was holding the firing pin back so that it could not get to the primer. It'd be a good trick to play on somebody sometime. And I kind of suspected that's what it must have been, because I just had it apart, you know, and using my superior powers of reasoning and putting it back, I must have gotten that firing pin in there incorrectly. And that's what it was, so I fixed that, and she fires. So, pretty cool. So, a couple of new guns. They're not even mine. I'm just trying them out. And there are a couple of firearms you all been asking about, the Equalizer. The Equalizer is pretty neat. It's the easy, you know, type of firearm. It's got the hammer fired, and it's got the grip safety, which I don't particularly like. Not too bad. Trigger's not bad at all. Hammer fired, and they've done some things to this. It's 9mm, you know, and kind of a cross between a Shield Plus and an EZ9 Shield, I guess, and as much as anything. It's set up for optic. You can do that. This one has a thumb safety. I just asked Buds to send me one when they got some in, you know, some extras, and I didn't really specify whether, you know, safety or not. Just you get some in. I don't care. And if I were buying it for myself, I would have to make that decision. And generally, I don't like a thumb safety. But then again, if it's a gun I'm kind of showing, doing a video with, I don't know, it doesn't hurt to have one to show you what it looks like, how it works, and if it's a positive safety, if it's in the way, you know, it's definitely something you can get it either way. So, and it is ambient, so no. And kind of the market for this gun, probably a fair number of people who want something like this because it's easier to operate, because maybe they've just got weak hands or arthritis or something, an injury. They might want a safety, you know, just some are new shooters and that kind of thing. You've heard people talk about having difficulty getting a slide back on a semi-auto, and it's easier to rack the slide. Everything about the EZ guns is easier, you know. So it's kind of, and yeah, it's fine. It's you can make it whatever size you want. Of course, you got kind of a thick slide, but I mean, as compared with a P365 XL or something like that, it's heavier and thicker. I think if you put the 13 round mag in, you get a firearm that's about the size. I'll hold them together and show you in the video, but you get a firearm that's about the same, you know, footprint as a XL P365. This is a little bit longer, I think, but in the slide, but you get a thinner gun with the SIG, a thinner gun, you know. So, but anyway, it is what it is. We'll do a video with it and tell you more about it. Okay, I'll shoot it some more. I have shot it 2 or 3 different times. You know, speaking of something that I was reminded of, I forget what. Oh, I know what reminded me. I get reminded pretty often about, speaking of tyranny, technology tyranny, tech tyranny. There's a phenomenon kind of that has come about in modern times, and I've been exposed to it more than most, actually, and have more insight perhaps than many people. Yeah, because I'm so brilliant. No, just a chance, just because of things I've been into, my career choices, and what I've been doing. I've noticed it early on, and when I say tech tyranny, I don't know what, there's probably a name for it, but I'll tell you one thing, my radio comes on in the car. I get in every now and then, and it won't work. I've got to agree, do not drive, and look at the radio or whatever it says, and click OK. You know, weird stuff like that where you don't have any control over it. The other day too, my my steering wheel, if it senses my hands are not on it properly, I'll get this flashing light and all that kind of thing, and my hand's on it. Yeah. So it's things like that, and those are kind of minor, but we have no control over that. I can't let me disable that stupid thing, push a button, at least as far as I know. Can't disable that. I can't disable that annoying thing on the radio, making me agree that, yeah, I'm stupid if I'm looking at if I'm not paying attention, whatever it says. I never read it, that kind of thing. And it's a terms of service, or another example. How many times you've gone into one of your platforms you're using, and terms of service has been updated, or you get an email about it. You're supposed to read it and agree to it, or whatever. It's 10 pages long or 8 pages, and it's the same stupid stuff. And what are you going to say? No, I don't agree. Oh, okay, then you can't use our whatever it is, Hotmail or Facebook or YouTube or whatever it is. And so you just say, I agree, and you go on. You don't really have a choice. It's just, well, you do, but do you really? It's just crazy, isn't it? And I noticed early on, of course, there's a whole world. You can write 5 books on there. There are 1,000 books, right, on Facebook, and the tyranny of technology, and how the people who set up these platforms control the narrative and all that. We all know that. But I'm not talking so much about that as just how things operate and which programs that we use. I was into this stuff back in early 80s, 81. I bought a computer. And that didn't mean much to some of you because you weren't alive then or you were too young. But hardly anybody had one that I knew, and that kind of deal. I was into it early. And then I was into it in both business and the publishing world. Then when I came back to education, and I saw this everywhere because it was the early days of people having computers and people using the computers for various things within companies and education. And you had people who were in charge of it, kind of, in technology. And I was kind of one of those people, but I was on the fringe because I'm not a programmer or anything. But I was in direct communication with them, more so than most people would have been, and working with them and chatting. And I knew them all well. And I was kind of the I don't know. I was the good guy, because I wasn't resistant to it, and they loved me, and then I helped do a lot of the education and that kind of thing for other folks. Not that it was that hard, but so I wasn't an antagonist, or I wasn't, a problem, a conflict at all. Just the opposite, really. But I observed many times how things went in various programs. We would choose things that would help our lives in the corporate world or in education, and it was a grading program or whatever, and how cool that was. Look what this will do and that will do, and you'll be able to do this so much simpler, and everybody goes, ooh, that is cool. But then it wasn't too long before there might be 5 or 10 or 20 different grading programs or ways to set up a server and different things. But it's the techie guys, the techie people, guys and gals, that would choose that so often. Whatever they'd been to the tech conferences and they knew all this stuff. I knew a fair amount, but I knew just enough to realize what was happening, that there were a lot of choices. And we weren't really always, whether it's the corporate world or wherever, it was, most of those decisions were made by the people in the tech department. They were the ones who knew, and those were the days when everybody else was still afraid to turn a computer on, didn't know how to plug it in, that kind of thing. So they kind of ruled without even trying to rule. Whatever they decided was best for everybody in the company, or worked well, or they maybe had a sales presentation and they liked the price of it or whatever it was, then that's what got adopted. Okay, does that sound familiar to some of you? And so there wasn't a deal like that may happen with firearms, in a lot of organizations, police departments, I don't know, maybe some degree in the military, whatever the top brass wants or likes, so the input wasn't there. And partly because the people who really needed to have the input, put the input in, were not as knowledgeable and not as exposed to it, and some were even didn't want to be involved, or with it. that sort of thing. So, some people were still very resistant to technology. And meanwhile, I knew enough that I would have some input. And I was on the technology committee, even headed one, so I was involved in that. But sometimes there was conflict there. And because the people that are really into it, they were accustomed to deciding for everybody else, what the program's going to be that we use for grading or for filing reports within this company, or whatever it might be. And there may be a lot of different ways to do it. And some of them were kind of awkward, and we'd get into those things. Well, isn't there another way to do this? Isn't there a better way to program this? And a lot of those people in the tech department weren't the ones who were the users, like inputting the information, or if it's a grading program, actually using it and seeing the weaknesses, on a day-to-day basis and that sort of thing. So there's just some, I guess my point is there's just something, it's just the nature of it. The people who are the most technologically advanced sort of became, not tyrants, too strong a word, but kind of the dictators of that. And it's easy to happen. As I'm talking, you're possibly thinking of examples of that, maybe in your church or somewhere where they've set up some system that everybody has to use, and you're scratching your head, wow, this is kind of awkward, we really need to do that, but somebody decided, and it's easy to convince the president of the company because he or she doesn't know either, which is the best one. So anyway, that kind of stuff happens. And then, of course, on a grand scale, I'm on my soapbox, aren't I? You have, of course, the Facebooks of the world, the YouTubes and everything else. And then and like I say, my car will, I expect in 10 years, you may have to, in order to, I don't know, use your, GPS is another example. You buy a nice car, the GPS is awkward. I've got a bad one in my Yukon, and it's a Denali. The GPS is, it gets lost. I mean, I've even updated it. It's not nearly as good as Google. I find myself having to pull my phone out and go to Google to get somewhere quite often. And I spent $100 last year to upgrade it, and I don't really see an improvement. Got, the flash drive to update it and everything. No choice. We need choices. We need choices on everything. Like when I buy a car, I would like to choose. And I think now, Google, here we go again, we're locked into Google, I guess, but apparently they're the best. But with a lot of cars, you don't have a choice. It's whoever made the deal with GMC, or Toyota or whoever will install. You got the licensing for 10 million versions or whatever licenses for our GPS system, and they got the best price from that company, whoever it is. So that's the GPS you got. So that's the way it goes. Someone makes those decisions for you, and it's always the way life is to some extent. But with technology, it just seems there ought to be more choices because it can be much better in a lot of cases, right? It can be different. You may want it different, tailored, differently. So anyway, that's one of my soapboxes. Of other people deciding what the interface is going to be for you or me, and then too, it's not just the technology. I mean, they're using the technology to control too in a lot of ways. Like I was talking about with my car, it makes me do things that I shouldn't have to do. Like answer something. Well, I got to do some multiplication tables. In a few years when I get into my car or into my four-wheeler before it'll let me start it up. And someone could decide that. And it's part of the machine. So no matter how many jokes I make about it or complain to you while I'm standing in the woods on YouTube, it's in it. It's built into my stupid four-wheeler, and I can't do anything about it. If it's built in, if it's a part of the package, the electronic package. So those are things I think we need to stay on top of too. If we want to, in this country, we sort of live in a free country. We're trying to hang on to that, right? Technology can take us the other way in a lot of ways. It's a great thing. The internet's opened up the world. I hear from a lot of people in other countries, of course, daily almost, and I do daily, but from a lot of people that envious of our firearms freedoms. You know, it's just like a bizarre to them. They want to move here and all that kind of thing. In a way, YouTube and the internet, it's a little bit like the old Radio Free Europe, you know, where, you know, there was these broadcasts that would go into, I guess, shortwave or whatever, and people behind the Iron Curtain could hear it and know what's going on in the world. The only way they could know what was going on in the world. Well, now, as long as you have internet access, which is, I guess, most places around the world, maybe not North Korea, and then in China they limited, I think, I don't know, but you know what's going on, and you know what's available, what other people are doing, how free they are, like we are. I'm standing here with a firearm, you know, that I could have bought an hour ago and brought home, and I'm shooting it, a 9mm, you know. That's like bizarre to, you know, people in a lot of different countries, and I think it's good that they see that and they have that access. So that's really great, because it makes them start questioning their own government, I think. And some of you are listening to me, right? Because I know you do, and you just wish, you don't understand why you're not trusted. You're just like me. Well, hopefully you're smarter than I am, but you're just like me. You're just a guy, and you'd like to be able to go buy a 9mm or a 308 rifle like this and take it to the range, shoot it, or on your property, enjoy it, you know, collect guns, muzzle loaders, ARs, Glocks, M&Ps, whatever it might be, and you have no intention of ever hurting anybody, like 99.9% of humans, you know, and but you're not allowed. You're not allowed. And seeing what we're doing over here on YouTube or wherever, I think it's a good thing. Maybe it will generate some revolution. Wow. I gotta get me a loud muffler. I'm just not. Oh, that was a motorcycle. I guess we'll. Wow. Cool day to be on a motorcycle. I'd be moving fast too, I guess. Well, you know, I had one for 4 years. That was always a dilemma. You know, if it was cold, do you want to move faster and get where you're going, so you're not cold as long? but yet you're colder for the time you're making that trip, right? So it's always a choice. Okay, let me shoot another mag. Now this thing, this Equalizer has a, let's see, if this is the 15 round mag, which I could only get 14 in. Wow. Now, even with 14, I don't think get it. There we go, full slide back. So you can make this thing a 10 round gun, a 13 round gun, or a 15 round gun. Plus one, of course, always. All right. Not bad. You know, this is a little fatter. The grip is a little fatter than the Shield. I guess even the Shield Plus, I think, it's a little thicker, but it's still kind of narrow. I just don't understand, Smith. Well, it probably fits most people just fine. Apparently the Shield is so popular, I guess it does. I just don't, it's not just me though with my big hands. I've heard many other people say the same thing, that the grip is just it's thin. You know, it's just so thin, and it just doesn't feel great to me. It doesn't. I probably would not buy this gun or any of the other Shield. I got the first Shield, but I could wrap them up enough, get enough thickness, I guess, build it up as I've done before, but they're just narrow, very, very thin. But I don't know, the firearm seems pretty nice. I know this concept, you know, the easy concept is selling very well, as I understand, and so that's what you got with the Equalizer. But you've got, you know, double stack, you got good capacity, good sized gun, you've got a relatively small gun to a bigger gun. You know, choose what you want. You get 3 mags with it. You know, so not bad. Not bad. I'll tell you. What else before I let you go? Do I have any advice? I don't know. I read a book last week or so I would recommend. A friend of mine lent to me Louis L'Amour's memoirs. Let's see, it's memoirs of a wandering man. I think's the title of it, and really interesting. If you've ever read any Louis L'Amour novels, you would really enjoy this, because he wrote this like the year before he died, I think, or last part of his life, 88, 89 or something. What a dude he was. You know, a lot of people just think of him, as I think I did, just some guy that writes Western novels, you know, fluff or something. Not hardly. What an educated person he was, self-educated, world traveler, read constantly. Bob, he's probably, he seemed to have I think like a photographic memory almost. Might have been in his life one of the most knowledgeable humans on the planet. Really, you read those memoirs, you might conclude that. It's unbelievable. And then too, of course, about the West, he lived a lot of that in the early part of the 20th century, and so I take a new attitude to a Louis L'Amour novel, and I hadn't read much of them. As soon as I finished his memoirs, I picked up one that I don't think a movie might have been made of, but one I hadn't seen, was Shellaco, and I mean, it's just, I read it with a different mindset. I really did. But anyway, I'd recommend that. If you like Westerns, I know a lot of you do, read the Louis L'Amour's memoir. It's the memoirs of a wandering man, I think, or of a self-educated wandering man, something like that. So a little advice there. Advice for young people. Oh yeah, get out and shoot if you can. My advice for young people is we have way too many people looking to the government to take care of us, right? To save us from whatever issue. And so I think that's part of the issue. Most people in my generation, or people I know, I don't know anybody that thinks like that. We want the government out of our way. Get the government out of our way. We want smaller government. But I think a lot of people, they want bigger government, of course. You know, look at the elections, how they go, and what gets promised in order to get elected. So a lot of people want a big government, but man, don't look to government to solve your problems. Look to yourself to solve your problems. I mean, that's just something that's so basic, and it tells you a lot about people, about yourself. You know, if you're looking for the government to solve your issues, you know, and just take responsibility for yourself. And start with yourself. Start with the little things. If you think your life's not going well, start improving your day-to-day life. Forget the big picture for a little bit, but just start studying harder. Maybe, you know, make sure you're prepared better for class if you're still in school. Listen better to your adults, to your teachers, and everybody, and try to achieve a little more excellence instead of just getting by. I wish I could go back to high school, middle school. Oh man, in a way, I mean, I really wouldn't want to, but I would be such a better student. I could get so much more out of it and still have fun. But just take it seriously and study harder. Even 20% harder would have been big deal. And you know, go to class with questions, you know, and knowledge about the material you're supposed to have read. You know, and just, you know, be a part of it, be more engaged. You know, if you can do that, step it up a little bit each day, the big picture will get better. Your future will get better. You know, pay attention to detail, plan ahead, do things the right way, be good to people, you know, and, you know, don't be focusing on what other people or the government can do for you or can't do for you, or what's going to save the world, who gets elected and all that kind of stuff, and get all caught up in everything that's on social media and the world's going to end and all that. Just take care of yourself, take responsibility. It'd be my advice, you know, if that means anything. You know, one thing I thought I've read from time to time, or seen the advice, you know, think about things you have trouble changing. It's always hard to change anything, isn't it? Think about, I don't know, you've been meaning to change jobs, or to get better grades, or go on a diet, or start exercise, whatever it is you're going to do, build a house, or build a barn, or do something, and you can't get started, or whatever it might be. Think about yourself. probably going to be around 5 years from now, right? Probably. You know, we all assume that. So think about it. You're going to be, in 5 years, maybe you're going to be right where you are now at the same house, sitting on the front porch, or in your bedroom at your parents' house, or wherever you're going to be. When you're in school, there are a lot of changes and getting older, becoming an adult, right? But off to college or something. But in 5 years, you're going to be you, and you're going to be doing a lot of the same things you're doing right now. You're going to be sitting at the coffee shop Monday morning, maybe 5 years from now. And just imagine yourself, put yourself 5 years out sitting at Starbucks or wherever it is, or at McDonald's, and there you are, like you like to go to on certain days or mornings or whatever it is, Pancake House. You're going to be there 5 years from now, okay? And then envision yourself being there, making notes about what you have accomplished the previous 5 years. You know, back to today. What have you done? Okay, what did I do? I keep talking about getting started on this or doing that or doing this better. What are you going to be thinking and about that you have achieved 5 years from now? What will you have achieved? Could be nothing. You still might be sitting there with a yellow pad making a list of what you achieved the last 5 years, and it's nothing. So just think about that. It's like a goal. Okay, I'm going to be sitting here at 5 years. What am I going to be able to write down that I actually got done, or that I actually changed or improved, and that kind of thing? Because you're going to be here in 5 years, probably. So and that's one thing that keeps us from making a move. We sort of don't look out into the future, and before you know it, time has passed. A lot of time has passed, and you still haven't done it. And of course, I'm as guilty as anybody. But anyway, little advice. Take it for what it's worth. If that advice doesn't work, I'll give you your money back. Okay. So, can I shoot one more time before I make your run? Before I get too cold? Let's shoot this big boomer. Have any more ammo? What do you think? Yeah. Okay. All right. Nice. Let's pump a propane tank. I think I didn't mean to shoot that tree. I was shooting to the right. I try not to shoot trees unless they're dead. Not because my third grade environmentalist teacher gives me a hard time, okay? But I spent a lot of years growing trees. Most of the trees you all see are there. As I've said, I growed them. I used to mow that, the bush hog, and in fact, that one I just hit, I think, I didn't mean to, that big poplar right behind the propane tank. That grew since I've been here, of course, and I remember it was about that big around, and I don't know what happened, a storm or something, and it was becoming a tree. It broke off. It's a tulip poplar. It broke about 7-8 feet from the ground, just broke off. And well, it was into that tree, because it was totally off. Or it broke so much that across the tree, I cut it off, finished it off or something, and got it out of the way. And so they got just that much of what's left, which we did. Well, I think maybe I cut most of the rest of it off, and then it started sprouting up right from the trunk that was there. And it started, and that's it. I mean, you couldn't kill it. You couldn't kill it. So trees actually are harder to kill than people realize. But so yeah. Anyway, my little tree story. I love trees. My mother loved trees, and I love the woods. And I'm looking at the woods, and it's nice to have some woods. It really is. I remember my parents were living. They'd come down here in the 80s. Mid to late 80s and visit right after I bought this place, and we'd walk back behind the house in the woods, and the big trees, huge oaks and everything, and they just loved it. And because they grew up in the country and really enjoyed the outdoors and everything. And but a lot of time has passed. Now those trees I don't think are all that much different than the woods that were already here. But all this you're looking at is new. There were no trees there. I bush hogged it 2 or 3 different years. I told you all about that. And I know you're concerned about that. So anyway, the equalizer, I think the cold weather has my brain acting up on me. How would you ever know if that happened though, right? So equalizer, we'll do video on it and talk more about that. Got a pretty nice trigger, I have to say. I'm thinking the other easy guns that we've done, a 380 and a 9, I was thinking I had more trouble with the grip safety, activating or not activating, deactivating. I haven't noticed that as much with this one, I don't think. So anyway, glad you came out, and hope you enjoyed the videos this week. We're still posting 3, 4 every week, and will all through the winter. And we've been working pretty hard so that in January and February, when it's really cold, wanted to come out here and freeze. Wouldn't have to anyway, but we'll still try to come out every week, pick out the warmest day, and come out and chat with you all. So I've got to shoot something, right, once a week at least, more than that, even in January. So I will do that. So anyway, the Ruger SFAR, S-F-A-R, and interesting rifle. If you like a 308, 7.62 by 51, we'll be posting video on that as well. So I will see you all next week, I hope, and I hope you come out and freeze with me. Life is good.